Hey, what's good, y'all? As always, your boy, the main attraction, Emery Ogletree II, coming to you live from my home. If you can tell, it looks a little weird right now, and I'm doing this off my cell phone, man. It's been raining here the last 4 days in LA, and the studio got flooded. But, we can't let that stop us, man. We got to keep it moving. So, today's topic, man, I want to touch on Kyrie Irving and the Celtics, man. I'm not sure if y'all got a chance to see it last night. For those who did, you saw a great game between the Toronto Raptors and the Boston Celtics. And for those who didn't, just let me bring you up to speed. Last night, Celtics won 117 to 108. Kyrie had a great game, finishing with 27 points, 18 assists, I think a career high, 5 rebounds. Horford had 24 and 7. Tatum with 16 points, 10 boards, and Gordon Hayward still making his way back with 18 points. And you're probably sitting there wondering, why do I want to touch on Kyrie? I want to touch on Kyrie a little bit because, first of all, shout out to my man Ish K. If you didn't know, Kyrie made some comments here not too long ago. This is the first game Kyrie played since the comments he made after the Boston Celtics lost to the Orlando Magic, calling out his teammates. And Ish K, my man, hit me up and said, "You got to do something. You got to talk about this Kyrie thing." Because, in his opinion, he felt he's coming off a little bit too big for his britches. And at the same time, personally speaking, I didn't have a problem with what Kyrie said regarding his team and trying to show some leadership. So today, I want to sit here and touch on Kyrie, and we're going to talk a little bit about leadership in this episode of Let's Get today. So let's get into it, right? First of all, let's start to the beginning. When Kyrie just decided to leave Cleveland, ended up in Boston. Personally speaking, when that move was first made, the first thing I said was it was a mistake. And in fact, I can tell you exactly where I was. I was at Founders Ale House. Shout out to the staff at Founders Ale. Talking to my man Chris, and we were debating. Because going into that previous season, when Kyrie was getting ready to start with the Celtics, we were going back and forth. He picked the Celtics to win the NBA Finals. I told him as long as LeBron is in the East, LeBron's not losing. And we went back and forth and back and forth. But I told Chris this. I was like, look, it's not to me that Kyrie's not no good. I think he's a very good player. I'm kind of slow on calling him great yet. The jury's still out for me on calling him great, but he's very good. I was like, but the thing that bothered me about Kyrie wanting to get out of Cleveland was you're playing with an all-time top 5 player in LeBron James. I was like, the opportunities that were at your feet, what you could have done in that time you had with LeBron, you kind of just threw to the wayside. Just to be your own man, to have your own team. And I mean, who am I to knock another man or anybody for that matter on how you feel about yourself in terms of your own confidence? I mean, hell, I call myself the main attraction, right? So I have no room to talk. But in regards to, being the man on your own squad, I was sitting there saying, like, I don't feel, and I still feel this way, I don't feel that Kyrie Irving will win an NBA title. And at the time, I made the comment, I was like, Kyrie Irving won't win another NBA title as long as LeBron's in the East. Well, as you all know now, LeBron's in the West playing with the Lakers. So pretty much the East is up for grabs, even though Toronto's number 1 right now, and the Celtics are sitting there at, I believe, the 4th or 5th spot. But if anything else, though, it's up for grabs. So it's definitely something to talk about. And with Kyrie now being the man on his squad, I found it kind of interesting that, he wanted out and now he wants to be on his team. And as I said before, the Celtics have had some tough losses so far this season. I mean, still a lot more games to play. But I really found the comments that he made, to his teammates about what happened at that Orlando loss, that really kind of caught me, off guard. So if you didn't know what he said, let me play that audio for you right now. Give me 1 minute. Pardon the ad. I'm gonna sit there and mute that for right now. All right, here we go.
I appreciate being out there and just competing, and it doesn't matter who you're going against. It matters the type of preparation you have, what you're going out and trying to accomplish. What's the big picture? What are we doing here? These are a lot of things that I don't think that some of my teammates have faced of just every single day. It's not easy to be great. So the things that you're doing, that you've done your whole entire career, of being able to, kind of coast by in certain situations, and you've gotten away with your youth and stuff like that. Being on a championship ball club, you can't get away with that.
Now let's be real. I don't have a problem with what Kyrie said. I really don't. I don't have a problem with what he said, but let's kind of rewind things back a little bit. Last year, obviously, Kyrie didn't play through the playoffs. And without him and Gordon Hayward, they made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals and forced LeBron James and the Cavs to a Game 7. A series they could have won minus a few mistakes, minor mistakes, that they could have won. Now, for me, myself, after seeing that, the Celtics earned a lot of my respect. I mean, because I knew they were going to win this. I felt the Cavs were going to win the series, but I didn't have it going 7. And even if I did have it going 7, there was no way in the world I thought it was going to be that tight without Kyrie and Hayward. So they earned a lot of my respect. Jason Tatum, always had respect for Horford. But, Rozier, Jaylen Brown, all those guys. I mean, Brad Stevens, great coaching job. Really caught my attention. And I thought to myself, like, man, when Kyrie and when Gordon gets back, and this is all before the trades that went down for this current season, I mean, who's to stop the Celtics from making it to the finals? Excuse me. And I was also not knowing that LeBron was getting ready to lead the East. But I was at least figuring it would be another rematch. But with everything that went down, now that Kyrie's back, in particular, I felt that, the pressure is going to be on Kyrie. And the thing of the fact of the matter is, with those comments that he just made, I was like, okay, Kyrie, you're going to call your squad out. You want to talk about being the leader. But I also think it comes from a place that I believe Kyrie's feeling the pressure right now. I mean, could you imagine what it would have felt like if this team last year made the finals without him? And now that he's back and with all the weapons that they have now, I mean, it's the Eastern Conference Finals is nothing but an expectation for the Celtics. And even though Toronto's the best team in the East right now, after what we saw last year from this Celtics team, it's kind of hard-pressed not to believe that they shouldn't be back into the same place. But the East is looking very, very tough. Even with LeBron being gone. Toronto, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, the Celtics, can't overlook the Pacers. I mean, there's a lot going on. So there's a lot of pressure on Kyrie's shoulders right now in terms of trying to bring his team up to speed, and trying to get them back into the position of where they were last year and hopefully exceeding that and getting to the NBA Finals. But let me also talk on the fact of, when it comes to leadership. As you know, I used to play, and I played with guys who were captains, whether it was high school, college, whatever. I've always been very particular with guys who call themselves leaders. In my opinion, I've never played with any teammate, whether it was high school, college, or professional. I never played with a teammate who I felt played harder than me. So I had a high, bar for those who used to call themselves leaders, as my teammates. And a lot of times for me, I was always about winning. But there are some guys who were supposed to be the captains. And I sit there looking like, dude, you don't even play as hard as I do. How can I respect you as a leader? And even when it was my turn to lead, it became more so of a thing of not just my words, but my actions, that it's so easy when you're the star of a team. And I think anybody can relate to this. If you've ever been a star of a team, regardless of the sport, that it's always nice to get the pub and the notoriety. But it's the other side of things. It's the responsibility that comes with being the leader that, in my opinion, I've always said when it comes to this, that if you're going to take the lion's share of the credit, you better be willing to take the lion's share of the blame. And that's kind of where I was at with Kyrie when he made these comments. I was like, okay, Kyrie, you want to sit up here and call out your squad after a hard loss to Orlando, and that's all well and good. But I wouldn't blame that squad if they went back at Kyrie and said, yo, you want to call us out. Don't forget that we went to the Eastern Conference Finals without you last year. So who are you to sit on your high ground talking about what we need to do when we were able to do all this without you? And they had every right to feel that way. And you couldn't blame them for feeling that way. So that led up to what we saw yesterday. But I'm getting ready to end this at part 1. I'm going to continue this in part 2. We're going to talk more about Kyrie and leadership and with the Celtics. And I'll be back. Let's get it. All right. I'm out.